So something extraordinary has happened today. Kemi Badenoch has come out and said that the Conservatives should prepare for a disaster in the summer. The words disaster and elections are rarely uttered in the same breath by any political leader. Of course, when it was Liz Truss, I suppose she would have flapped around a lot and there'd been a lot of hand movement. Liz Truss said, well, I do the hand movement because every morning I practice these hand jobs to develop my coherence, my comprehension, my cohesion, and my coordination. And that didn't work. No matter how many hand jobs Liz Truss was doing, she was never coherent or coordinated or efficient or effective. And I don't imagine she would have even had the foresight to. I don't have any foresight. She wouldn't have had the foresight to be able to predict a disaster. The disaster, when it came, was of her own making, together with Kwasi Kwarteng and Liz Truss's, massaging of Kwasi Kwarteng's prodigious package. And you can imagine Nigel Farage in the corner saying, I'm not shallow, I just talk like that. But, elections and disaster. This is now what Kemi Badenoch is predicting. I'm not making plans. I'm just saying it's going to be a disaster. Here we are, Kemi Badenoch bluntly urging Conservatives to brace for what promises to be a grim May election. You hold on to your seats. It's going to be a bumpy ride. Hello, I'm Kemi Badenoch. I mean business. We're going to have a disaster. It isn't just political candour. It's an admission of incompetence. It's the sound of a party leader trying to manage expectations while holding together a fraying coalition of voters, MPs and donors. You'd be better off doing Liz Truss's hand jobs. Badenoch's admission, it's all going to be very bad. Nothing's going to work. Doesn't matter how long I do this. It's a striking acknowledgement. I'm not shallow. It's a striking acknowledgement of the party's dire trajectory since their zenith 4 years ago. The political environment has transformed dramatically, with Labour resurgent, the Lib Dems gnawing at suburban constituencies, Farage's reform, I'm not shallow, looming as a vote-splitting spectre on the right. And for a party whose identity has been stability and government security, the looming losses signify existential questions about relevance and continued reliability. Farage, ever the disruptor, I'm not shallow, is described by Badenoch as leading a party out to destroy the Conservatives. They're out to destroy. They're out to destroy us, she says with a grin. They're out to destroy us. Oh, it's going to be a disaster. Reform UK's rise highlights a growing fracture on the right, fueled by dissatisfaction with Brexit delivery and a sense that the Conservatives have failed to honour their immigration promises. This splintering could easily hand victories to Labour or to the Lib Dems in marginal councils, eroding the Tories' local power base. That's more of Liz Truss's hand job, isn't it? I'm going to hand power to everybody else except for me. Elections are not merely political exercises. They ripple through the economy. A Conservative rout could exacerbate market fears over policy drift. Investors, allergic to uncertainty, may react nervously to a weakened government grappling with fragmented councils and a parliamentary party unable to coalesce around policy solutions. And Badenoch's criticism of past Tory missteps, announcing Brexit without a coherent growth plan, only underscores these fears. They were all wrong, except for me. I'm Kemi Badenoch, and I'm always right. Prepared for a disaster. Brace! Immigration remains a key issue, and Badenoch's nuanced approach reflects the party's internal divisions. Her focus on assimilation and community references a shift towards more stringent controls, which may appeal to certain voters but risks alienating businesses reliant on migrant labour. And the question is whether this recalibration will address labour shortages or simply stoke further tensions, both within the party and in the economy. If electoral disaster were not enough, Badenoch's comments, break, about means testing the triple lock add fuel to the fire. For a demographic that traditionally leans conservative, even the hint of reforming pension protections could be perceived as a betrayal of the older generation. Pensioners already squeezed by inflation, and by Rachel Reeves' decision not to do the winter fuel allowance, may not take kindly to this further signal from the leader of the Conservative Party, potentially accelerating defections to other parties. Where can we go to? I'm not shallow. Its time is running out. Time is running out. Perhaps the most damning aspect of Badenoch's recent appearances is her acknowledgement of strategic incoherence. The tendency to announce policies without infrastructures to implement them. From Brexit to immigration, these unforced errors have sapped the party's credibility, and Badenoch's determination to avoid repeating these mistakes suggests a desire for reform. She's not going to be doing exercises to try and get coherence and cohesion and coordination. No, Badenoch's frankness is refreshing. I'm not shallow. And it also underscores the Conservative Party's precarious position. May's elections are shaping up to be less of a battle and more a referendum on a party that has, in her own words, lost its way. The results will determine not only the Conservatives' immediate future and fortune, but also their long-term survival as a cohesive political force. I think the May elections could be the point at which the Conservative Party ceases to exist. It could be the point at which the Conservative Party in Westminster sees so many defections to reform that the Lib Dems move across and become the party of opposition. By the end of May, that could well be the reality if Kemi Badenoch wishes to continue telling everybody to brace, it's going to be a disaster. I don't know. Would you prefer to have Kemi Badenoch telling you everything's going to be bad? Or would you prefer Liz Truss saying, I just practice in the morning, and would you prefer this hesitant stupidity, or would you prefer this bland conviction of disaster? Or would you just prefer Farage? Oh, I'm not shallow. I mean, the question is whether an acknowledgement of an impending disaster is the beginning of renewal or the final act in a long and painful decline. And I know what I think.